Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and a man rapidly running out of storage space. It's too late. Random review is about to begin.
Hey guys, you know what's missing from Random Review? Episodes. But besides that, you know what's missing from Random Review? Random, because I just use it to talk about current Transformers, and Transformers I'm just in the mood to talk about. So let's do something a little bit different this time. We're talking a transforming robot line, but one I've never covered on the channel before because it's only in South Korea and the toys are usually super expensive, but hey, I was in a mood and I finally decided to go for it. So we are going to talk some Tobot. Tobot is a toy line from South Korea, which has completely usurped things like Power Rangers over there and has become its own thing. And here, I believe from Tobot V, Tobot 5, no one correct me, I don't care, we have Big Trail, who's been on my Amazon wishlist for so long, and I just finally decided, you know what, I'm in the mood for a big, chunky robot. Let's just go and pick him up and see how he is. He's actually pretty freaking nice. So right off the bat, you can tell just from the size of my hand, he is a pretty big, beefy semi-truck done up in a lot of black and gray plastic. Lots of accent colors going on as well. Lots of translucent blue for the windshield and the headlights. A little bit of paint there for a few more lights. You can see all these intricate levels of detail here. Lots of little bits of plastic exposed with the gunmetal paint. Gunmetal paint as well here for the smokestack. Again, interweaving between everything. You have the painted hubs there for the wheels, and then all this tech detailing on the back. It looks like he's got some big supercharged engine in the back. It kind of gives me a little bit of aesthetic vibe from like Web Diver. If you remember how long ago I reviewed those toys, where typical vehicle, very high-tech detail mixed in, and it really kind of works. It makes it look like some beefy, souped up, just powerhouse of a machine. Very cool. Very, very cool look. I love all of the details and all the interlaced colors in this thing. It's so refreshing, I guess, because in Transformers, it's pretty common to skip out on a lot of detail and paint these days, and this just has like all over the place. Here in the back, we'll see a little bit more as the taillights have been done in a bright red. It's actually the only red I think is on this whole freaking toy, so that's a little bit of attention to detail. That's a little bit of effort. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about the truck mode itself. It's just this big, beefy, honking truck. And heavy. I wish I could convey how heavy it was on camera without cutting to me, like putting it on a weight scale, but it is so much heavier than your typical toy, your typical Transformer. And when we get to the robot mode, I will show you why in great detail. Needless to say, this thing is pretty spectacular. I absolutely love the vehicle mode on this, and you can see pretty solidly connected together and pretty solidly constructed as far as a transforming robot goes. So we get to the part where we transform it, and then we actually show you what the robot mode looks like. First off, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to break the transformation a little bit to show you that the way it converts for the robot mode, you absolutely can just kind of make a flat nose out of it, and almost all of it lines up perfectly. There's a little bit of a gap here, and then you have to deal with the windows, the rear view mirrors being so far away from the windows. That's a little bit weird. Other than that, the smokestack lines up exactly where it's supposed to go. This could have been an alternate mode, and it would have looked perfectly fine. So that's just a fun little thing I noticed. You can go ahead and do that if you want. It's your toy. But we'll go ahead and leave that apart just because, eventually we're going to have to do it anyway. So first off, I'm going to unclip these two sections from the side, fold them up, and now here comes a lot of noise because ratchet joints. Lots of ratchet joints. Go ahead and split these legs apart and then rotate around like so. Okay, bottom half done. Let's go over to the top half now. Everything has to unclip from itself, though this thing does split in half for other reasons, which we will explain at a later time, so I'm trying very hard not to do that and make it look weird. Lots of ratchets. Oh man, I can't wait to see what that looks like in editing. All right, so all of that unclipped. Rotate all of this down on the double hinge. God, I'm not used to making so much noise on the camera anymore. We haven't done this in a long time, so rotating these down like so. Now we can go ahead and move those into their proper position. These fold into the back like so. And now we have a little bit that is missing here. Okay, so we go set him aside, and we are going to look at the core unit that Tobots in this series tended to have. This is the toe key. These are just little tiny, like little animal bots that are included with this particular series of figures to give you a little bit of, like, just give you like a little bit of Power Ranger, almost Brave style bit of combination where this finishes off. You can see he's like a little bison with his like little front legs here, little back leg. It's just one back leg, but you can see his tiny little horns and his snout. Eyes been painted. So yeah, you actually do get that little bit of detail and like a little animal buddy for this big guy. But we fold that leg down, we bring this down, and that will form the head as well as the chest. But you know, that's not what the old school line is. So that will complete the transformation and finish off Big Trail. And big is the right word for him. This guy is gigantic, at least compared to like typical toys I am used to. As you can see, the transformation is nice, intuitive, simple. There's nothing super complex about it. Nothing's flying apart and coming back together, and there's only a little bit of paneling. Everything else is just chunk solid. The vehicle makes the robot. That's what I love to see. I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly what we're dealing with here as I bring in Grapple. So that's what he looks like next to a current Voyager class toy. It's a pretty stark contrast. He's a biggin. He's a big boy. So now we've fully established that Big Trail really is big. We'll establish exactly what makes him cool. We'll go ahead and take a look at the head. And it is unique to Tobot. It is, of course, it's a robot head. We've seen millions of them in media over the years of various types, but there is a bit of a unique look to him. I like that like really tall front forward crest thing. It does have a nice look to him going with that. It does stand out. I generally like how this guy looks. I like the idea of adding a little bit of animal detail to him. It's a little bit, well, obviously it's not subtle in the torso, but there's little elements here too. Like I'll just go ahead and point out a little bit of hoof look to his feet, just to give you just a semblance of like that bull, buffalo, bison / etc. Aesthetic. That he kind of gives his robot mode a little bit of flavor. So it's not just your standard bot. And again, that does kind of lend to the kind of Power Ranger Brave vibe this whole thing's got going on. If we look at him from the side, yeah, he's got some kibble here on the shoulder. Wears it well, though, and that's really all there is. You can see all around him, he's pretty clean, all things considered. There's really not a whole lot missing to him. There's not a whole lot hanging off of him. And then there is, of course, well, just look at him. So in comparison to a modern Transformer, you'll see he doesn't have any hollowed out areas. Like nothing here is hollowed out. Nothing has been reduced to a mushroom peg for the sake of simple construction and fewer part count. All the forearms, like it's the hand is about the only thing I've seen on this guy that actually has any kind of plastic hollowing. Everything else, he is rock freaking solid all the way around, which is a breath of fresh air for a modern transforming robot. I can understand a third-party toy with, over $150 being able to fill out all the gaps in the toy. This is a retail thing in Korea, and it's huge. And I'll tell you, for if I was comparing this to a third-party Transformer of similar size, it is way cheaper than that, which I think is how I justified actually going for it. So yeah, let's go take a look at the detail itself here. We have a lot more yellow that's prominent, especially now that we see the arms. It's in the elbows and the wrists, the horns, of course, and all the extra detail on the chest. He's lovely. I love this this minimalistic design with this black and off-white, and then those hits of yellow that pop so well. And then just the aesthetic, that the big rig being his shoulders gives him such a powerful look, like he's always coming at you and ready to bowl you over. It's absolutely awesome to see. He is just this huge, imposing dude. Now, then you get the articulation level, which, guess what? This is also pretty good too. So the neck does rotate. He's got a big old chin, so it does hit against the hinges on his shoulders. So that's going to limit you somewhat. But then we get to all the other joints. Are you ready? Nice ratcheting. Those go to 45-degree angles, so that's a little bit limiting, but not terrible. You also have that in the torso. Then, of course, there's the elbow, which has a nice range to it as well, 90-degree. No swivel here, though. There's no swivel here. Universal hips. That's, oh, geez. It's a mess of audio. And then we have the 90-degree knee. You have this too, but you can't really use it because it really wants to be in like these 90-degree positions. So that's a little bit limited. It's one of those things where he's got a lot of ratcheted joints, which means he's very solid as a posable figure. But that also means he is a little bit limited in as far as posability goes. He does still do pretty good. Like, I could go for some swivel joints in him, but for the most part, he still articulates really, really well. And for his size, he's just like, still like maintains that super solid feel to him. He feels like he would be right at home in like the Cybertron leader class kind of area, where the articulation is still good, not great, but everything is dead solid on him. And of course, he's just huge and solid himself. Speaking of huge, we haven't even gotten to his weapon yet, which is a hammer, which blots out the sun. No, this is a hammer here. I need you out of the way for this. I need you out of the way. This is a hammer as big as a hammer. This is his weapon. This is just this massive gray hammer, which is blending into my background because it's like literally the exact same shade of plastic. I didn't even notice that before. But yeah, this is tricky. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. It does hinge up there, so it forms this extremely awkward sniper rifle looking thing, but he can't hold it because that's not his handle. This is his handle. If I connect it like this, I have to loop it underneath and then clip underneath, which is not necessarily secure, but you know what? It does hold up. Now, because it is so big, one, I can't really fit it in frame, and two, I have seen cases where this has made it a little bit awkward to balance. So either the arm comes down or it's hard to actually get into a standing pose with the hammer wielded. So it has to come with him for everything else that this toy can do. But it's just made so that yes, he can use it, but he really shouldn't. So I think that's where we have to leave that off and just admit the hammer is for other things. And we'll get to those eventually. So if I actually get that unpegged and aside, I'll give you one more look at this big hoss and go, yeah, that is Big Trail. Whoa. Balance. One must find balance. The light side, the dark, the not falling over and ruining my shot. This is Big Trail. This is an absolutely just amazing figure. He's big, he's solid, he's everything that modern Transformers are missing. He is such a nice palette cleanser and just a really cool figure and design overall. Very fun to play with. Now, he is not quite done. We will see him again. But for now, if just looking at him as a standalone toy, he is exceptionally nice. And if you are after that kind of early to mid 2000s feel to your Transformer, I highly recommend looking into this guy further because he might just be exactly what you've been missing. So the one thing I didn't tell you is that Big Trail is actually part of a combining duo, so we have another toy we have to look at in order to see everything Big Trail can do, and that is Troll. So, like, subscribe so you can find out exactly when we talk about this guy.